All right, good evening everybody, and welcome back to Walks in Wall Street. Today is Monday. It's about 8:37 p.m. Eastern Time. We are reporting live right outside of the brand new Moynihan Train Hall overlooking the gorgeous, famous Empire State Building. Now, if you look to the right-hand side of your screen, you'll also see Madison Square Garden. Now, I'm not sure what the Empire State Building is lit up for tonight, but I think the color scheme looks pretty good. You have a bright blue at the top, then you have this sort of yellowish orange in the middle, and then on the bottom you have that big bright blue yet again. Now, we have a couple of announcements before we start off the stream tonight. Quick announcement, tomorrow, Tuesday, there will be no stream. Okay, I know everybody's super upset about that. We'll get through it, don't worry. I'm going to be traveling, so we are going to be taking our talents to South Beach. I'm going to be flying back to Miami tomorrow night, so there will be no stream. However, we will be back live on Wednesday. So we should be doing the live stream Wednesday either from Coconut Grove, or if I can get back from some of my meetings in time, we will be live from downtown Miami, which I think it'll be interesting to show all of the new viewers Miami, especially since they just finished up that F1 race down there. I mean, the city was pretty empty this weekend. I think a lot of people were down in Miami for the Formula One race. Also, Kentucky Derby was this weekend as well. So we'll jump right into the market. Tomorrow, everybody, is going to be a pretty big day. We have Airbnb reporting earnings, ticker symbol ABNB. I'm very excited about their earnings report tomorrow. I think that is going to be a good proxy in terms of the U.S. consumer. We're going to see how strong travel is. Now, if you remember last week, Hyatt reported earnings, ticker symbol H, and Hyatt tends to serve more of the higher clientele, right? A little bit more expensive hotels with their upper, I would say, flagship brands being the Park Hyatts, can fetch all the way up to $1,000 a night for a room, and those earnings were exceptionally strong. The CEO actually came on the earnings call and said it was a record-breaking quarter in terms of net income profitability. So we'll talk about Airbnb. Now, Brian Chesky, the CEO, actually came out on Twitter the other day and was announcing some new rollouts for Airbnb, one of which called Airbnb Rooms. We will talk about that tonight. Now, today there was a couple notable earnings reports on Wall Street. Most notable to me was Tyson Foods. Now, Tyson Foods absolutely bombed earnings, stock getting clocked down 17%. Now, the majority of analysts on Wall Street were projecting about 79 cents of positive EPS. They missed big time on the bottom line, losing 4 cents a share. So negative earnings, really, really horrible there. Also on the top line, they missed revenue for the quarter coming in at $13.13 billion. And to top it all off, which oftentimes when we talk about earnings reports, the most important aspect, or I should say one of the most important aspects of an earnings report is actually not the results, but the forward guidance, right? The markets, the stock market is a forward-looking indicator. So oftentimes analysts and the like will be on these earnings calls and paying close attention to the guidance. And that was actually I would say the worst thing about the earnings report is the very, very poor forward guidance. Tyson actually lowered guidance for their revenue estimate for the entire fiscal year. Now, guidance was at about $57 billion. They had to lower that to $54 billion. Now, the CEO came on the call, we'll talk about it a little bit later in the earnings report, but said there was significant revenue declines and demand for beef, pork, and chicken, and consumers were trading down in their purchases, which is actually pretty interesting. I could see the fact that consumers are trading down from beef or red meat, but isn't chicken usually the cheapest thing on the menu? I don't know, we'll talk about that. Lastly, today, if you look at the SPY or the ETF for the S&P 500, it was the lowest volume day of the year and the lowest volume day since April of last year. And there's an old saying on Wall Street to not short a dull tape. So we'll talk about that, declining volume. And then on Wednesday, CPI numbers are out. That'll be an interesting live stream to do a breakdown on that. We'll talk about gold and silver. So without further ado, let us get started, and I'll say hello to everybody in the chat. Hey, we have Teresa Diaz is here. Dallas is good evening. Tom. Jafet Perez is here. Horatio Snipes. I see British Gray. GG NYC. Water Blazing. Always appreciate you being here. Richard Vogel. Justin S is here. Eric's beautiful view of the Empire State Building. Thank you so much. Now, we are outside the Moynihan train hall. The internet may not be so good, may not be too hot here, but this just opened, sort of the common space outside of the Moynihan train hall. As you guys can notice, everything is brand new. And if you look inside the building, I think these units will actually be restaurants. They're not complete yet, but this is just giving you a little bit of a sneak peek behind the scenes. So when the train station is totally complete, these will be spaces for restaurants, bars, and dining. This should be some sort of an outdoor patio space. And then you have a great view overlooking the Empire State Building. I see Charles Hong is in the chat. What's up, Charles? Says, hey, Tom from DC. Always good to see you, Charles. Now, it's going to be a shorter than normal live stream tonight, everybody. I do have to be up early. I got to be in the city extremely early. I got an 8 o'clock meeting, but then I got to fly out. I'm going back to Miami. I'll be there for about a week and a half, so that should be fun. Hey, Robert is here. What's up? Good to see you. Andre Almar, welcome, welcome. Crypto Memes says hello all. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Now, you know, speaking of crypto, one more shot of the Empire State Building and then we'll head uptown. Dallas is here. Says incredible sunshine after rain. Good to see you. Gary Carpenter is here. Appreciate that. Ken Brockton says, beautiful sky in New York. Thank you, Ken. Julia M says, hey, Tom and fam. Julia, weren't you just, I think you were just in Miami, right? You are now back in New York. Hopefully you enjoyed your trip. It's funny, when you're coming to New York, we're trading places, so to speak. This is B&H Photo. This is a very famous electronics store in New York. And they have the most sophisticated supply chain in there that I've ever seen in my life. Amazing, amazing stuff there. They have all sorts of pulley systems and trolleys to, you know, get some of the products off the shelves. It's really amazing, honestly. Now, I want to take you guys up 9th Avenue tonight. We never, ever walk up 9th Avenue. I got to go to an office on 55th Street. We'll end the stream there, 55th and 9th. But there was a person with the username in the chat, I think Crypto Meme. And your username got me thinking of a tweet I saw today, which I think is very important to talk about, actually. Now, the CEO of Coinbase has actually now traveled to the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, and is in talks to potentially move the whole company to the UAE. And that's going to bring a lot of jobs and innovation away from the United States. Now, I've been a very, very big critic of Securities and Exchange Commission Chair Gary Gensler. You know, I think Gary Gensler and everybody over at the SEC has been very, well, I should say lackadaisical in making concrete rules, regulations, and providing just overall regulatory clarity on the cryptocurrency markets. It's sort of like the Wild West. Now, in my view, I think the United States should be the leader in every single technology there is. I'm saying that because I'm biased, I'm an American, right? But here in the US, we have a vested interest in keeping all of the innovation, keeping all of the jobs here in the United States. And I think the SEC has done a real big disservice to the country with not providing some sort of regulatory clarity, because the problem is, if it takes too long to provide this regulation or to provide some sort of guidance, a lot of entrepreneurs are not going to know what to do, right? I've been very outspoken about this myself. I said, look, there's really no guidance as it relates to a lot of the altcoins and some of these other cryptocurrency projects. So I wouldn't even get involved with them. I wouldn't even purchase them. I'd stay away from them because we don't even know if it's legal technically to buy them in the United States. So all of that innovation is going to go overseas to Malta, to the UAE. And the CEO of Coinbase actually flew to the UAE to meet with government officials, and that is not good for the US. Now, any thoughts there before we continue uptown? Any thoughts on the SEC and their decision to sort of drag their feet with everything? Guys, this is the New Yorker Hotel. We are now standing on the corner of West 34th Street and 9th Avenue. You have Peloton's headquarters there, ticker symbol PTON. Hey, Solo401, good to see you, Solo. Welcome, sir. Always a pleasure to have you here. RCE Goats, his PayPal is up 6% today. Yeah, they reported earnings. You know, Zscaler also gave some guidance. Zscaler is a cybersecurity company that trades under the ticker symbol ZS. We've been talking about that company at length. And it's interesting, I think a viewer actually just asked me about Zscaler the other night. The stock is up about 20% on the day, but I'd be really careful with these sort of companies, right? I love the company Zscaler. Oh, hold on, let me move away from this lady. I love the company Zscaler. I love cybersecurity in general, and I've always been outspoken, and I've said there's three main leaders in cybersecurity, in my opinion, in the market. And that is, in order, Palo Alto Networks, which also rallied off the back of the Zscaler news today. Number two is Zscaler, and number three is Fortinet. I would say, in that order, is what I would rank those companies. But even though Zscaler is up, guys, look at this. Look at how unique that is. Even though Zscaler was up about 20% on the day, I mean, if you look at a chart of Zscaler, if you pull up your Bloomberg Terminal, Trading View, or MarketSmith, type in ticker symbol ZS, the company is still in a severe downtrend, talking about the stock, trading well below its 250-day moving average. Now, a lot of these SaaS companies were gapping up today. But the problem is, if you look at the SPY, okay, the Spiders ETF that tracks the S&P 500, this was the lowest volume day of the year. Now, which is very odd because usually low volume days happen around the holidays, happens around Thanksgiving, happens around Christmas, and happens around New Year's. So I think you had a multitude of things going on at once. a lot of these SaaS companies and tech companies have a very, very high percentage of the float of the stock sold short. So any type of positive earnings news on low volume is going to gap these things all over the place. So I'd be very, very careful with chasing these stocks all over the market, because they could easily just be bear market rallies. Hey, Tom AK is here. What's up, Tom? Good to see you. Steph UH, good to see you. Welcome, Steph. Connor says, hey, Tom, how are you tonight? Are you walking up to the Upper West Side? Well, we should be. Now, I'm excited to take you guys through Hell's Kitchen tonight. Very, very seldom on the live stream do I take you guys through Hell's Kitchen. Now, we're going to walk directly up 9th Avenue, and I want you guys to notice one thing, okay? Notice all of these original buildings you see here mixed in with these new developments. Now, I have a prediction. I think over the next 10 years, pretty much all of these original buildings, right, with the beautiful architecture. I mean, some of these buildings are hundreds of years old, 100 years old. They're going to start to be redeveloped to look like these, you see? Tons of new developments going up on the west side, especially as you move up towards Hell's Kitchen. And last week on the live stream, I really was able to show you guys a lot of diversity in the architecture, right? We did a full walking tour of New York City's Billionaires Row. I showed you Central Park Tower, 220 Central Park South, 157, the Steinway Tower, all of these mega tall, super skinny buildings. And then we got to see the original New York architecture, the beautiful townhomes in the West Village. And I think tonight would be appropriate to show you guys, take you on a little bit of walk through Hell's Kitchen. Here's a really nice view. You can see real stark contrast between the original buildings, some of the newer developments. This is the New York Times building, by the way. And we're going to head right to the entrance of the tunnel. Hey, Smee Media is here. Good to see you, Smee Media. Welcome. Drums Only says out with the old, in with the prison look. You know, a lot of people are very, very critical of the new architecture that's going up. And I would have to agree on some of it. Sunshine After Rain, good to see you. Let me catch up on some of the comments. Hey, Charles D, this is Tom Palantir moving towards S&P list. Well, Palantir, I believe they reported earnings today, didn't they? Company churned a profit. Now, we do have a viewer who always joins the chat, Shadow Stock. I think Shadow Stock is maybe long that company or bullish on the company, but in my opinion, I'm not really too hot on a lot of the SaaS sort of stocks and companies right now, in my view, in my opinion. So we'll take that what it may. Brick Stonewall says, don't do away with any of the old architecture. It adds character and nostalgia. I agree. For the most part, I agree. All right. Hold on one second. There's a weird guy following me. RCE says I'm bullish on CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike is another cybersecurity company. Trades under the ticker symbol CRWD, Crowd. Dag Torp says greetings from Norway. Hey, wow, very cool. A little bit of an international audience here. Now, here's probably the best contrast that you're going to see all night on the live stream. So this is the corner of West 38th Street, 9th Avenue. And check this out. I'm going to turn the camera towards the left. This is all the way, almost right on the Hudson River. Look at all of these brand new developments. It almost looks like you're in a completely different city altogether. Now, these are luxurious apartments. Probably the average rent in those buildings are probably $3,000 a month. Probably for a studio apartment, maybe one bedroom.
Are you a vlogger?
No. Hey, Robert Burns, it's evening, Tom. Good to see you. Welcome. RS. Thank you for joining us. Let me turn down here so you guys can see a little bit better. And then this obviously is the brand new Hudson Yards development. Now, we were just talking about Steve Ross last night on the live stream. He did an interview with Bloomberg over the weekend. Now, he is responsible for the absolutely gorgeous Class A office space at the Hudson Yards, but he is also on another development down in southern Florida, which is One Brickell City Center, which we're probably going to be able to see coming up next week. So maybe on Wednesday we'll actually take a little bit of a walk to One Brickell City Center. Here's another pretty good view of exactly what this neighborhood used to look like. You guys see that? I'm going to try to put the camera as high as I can, but all of these original old buildings are being torn down, and they're building these megatall metropolises here. Hey, Dan Zhang, what's up? Good to see you. This is Tom. What a boring day in the market today. Yeah, I mean, it was the lowest volume day. Lowest volume day of the year. Lowest volume day of the year. Elliott Wave Reviews says, what's up, Tom? Good to see you, Elliott Wave Review. Thank you for joining us. Now, I got a question for the chat. Tomorrow is a big day on Wall Street. Airbnb is going to be reporting earnings, and I think that we could use Airbnb's earnings as a proxy for the health of the travel sector, particularly on the lower end, right? On the middle class sort of travel sector. Now, did anybody see the tweet? Oh, this is new. It's like a mini homeless encampment here. Jeez, I haven't been over here in a long, long time. So that's why I'm a little bit surprised, just like you guys are too. Wow. The city should really clean this up, man. I think that guy's passed out on heroin. That's so horrible. Anyway, right across the street from the FDNY too. Oh well. Anyway, so Brian Chesky, the CEO of Airbnb, came out with a series of tweets over the weekend. Did anybody see those tweets? And he said that there's going to be a new feature coming out on Airbnb, and it's going to be called Airbnb Rooms. And the theory is, or the thought process behind there, is that people can rent individual rooms on Airbnb for as low as $50 a night in some cases. Now, there's a big controversy between the fees on Airbnb. There's a lot of people saying I would never use Airbnb, I would never book through them because there's all these hidden fees, all these cleaning fees. My question to you guys is, when you travel, where do you usually stay? Do you still stay at hotels? Do you prefer hotels? Or would you be open to the idea of using Airbnb? In addition, is there any Airbnb hosts in the chat who utilize Airbnb, who run Airbnb rentals? And if so, how is the demand for your rentals going? I'll give a little bit of insight in my opinion, because I do run an Airbnb rental. Suspicious Sky, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Hey, Trevor L says, Tom, what type of camera and equipment are you using? It looks great. Well, thank you for the compliment. We are live streaming on an iPhone 13 mini, excuse me. Now, here's a view of the New York Times building. Now, in this building is actually Datadog, enterprise software company, ticker symbol DDOG. I think they are reporting later as well. Travel Nieces says, I just have a standard of hotels, so I expect the same at Airbnbs. Michelle Henry is here, what's up? Tom AK says, Airbnb most is scummy, no motels. Airbnb most is scummy. Interesting. Angela says, hey Tom, hope you're doing well, watching from Bayshore, Long Island. Hey, very nice. Fellow Long Islander. I'm from Massapequa. Bayshore is very nice. Love Bayshore. Dog Dwarfs is both mostly hotels though. Hemi Power says Airbnb is very strong in Southern Florida. Yeah, well, that's where I have, well, here's what I do. And I think a lot of millennial types are doing the same thing. It's really called house hacking, and you could do it a number of ways. Here's an awesome view of the Empire State Building and the New Yorker Hotel, by the way. But you could do it a number of ways, right? So let's say if you're looking at a single family home or a duplex or a triplex, one of the things that you could do is if you buy, let's say, a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom home, you could live in one of the bedrooms and rent out the additional 3, and the rental income from those 3 particular rooms will pay for your mortgage and more, and it'll probably cash flow. I mean, unless something's really, really wrong. So a lot of people have actually been purchasing homes or duplexes or triplexes, and instead of having long-term renters, right, let's say on a 12 or 24-month lease, they're just renting to tourists or people who are traveling for remote work on a month-to-month basis. And in my experience, whenever I'm not at my place in Miami, I rent it out by the month. Because in my experience, if you do it anything less than a 30-day rental, it's just too much work. The turnover is way, way too much. And I think the quality of the tenant is a little bit better on a month-long rental. But the demand, at least in my neighborhood, so I'm about equidistant between Fort Lauderdale and downtown Miami, the demand is still very, very strong. I never have an issue renting it out. So, we'll see if Airbnb comes in with better than expected earnings. We'll see. I mean, we talked in detail about Hyatt. Hyatt Hotels reported earnings last week on Wednesday, I believe. Record earnings better than expected. And this week also Marriott reports as well. Dan Zhang says, Tom, I only use Airbnb if it's a large group vacation. That's a good idea. It's easier to have fun with friends in a house than a hotel. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Now, I could see Dan Zhang's point in like a ski vacation, right? Maybe you're going upstate New York, into the mountains, and you would rather rent a cabin that has 7 rooms than everybody staying in individualized hotel rooms. And it's probably going to be a little bit cheaper too, right? I mean, you could probably rent a whole entire house for like a week for probably around $1,000. If everybody chips in, it may be like, $100 a head, which is actually a pretty good idea. LB is here, says, Tom, when I travel, I stay in a hotel/motel, but Airbnb does sound interesting. It's interesting because the last time, everybody, we did this poll here on Walks on Wall Street, there was a lot of resistance to Airbnb. So maybe people are coming around. I don't know. We'll see. This is an interesting hotel here. It's called Yotel. For some reason, I actually thought this closed down. Doro says, I would never rent out my house. Yeah, maybe it's not for everybody. Dog Orf says, here in the state of Cancun, the government is shutting down Airbnbs at the pressure of resort hotels. That's a really good comment because there's a lot of people that have been speculating in the housing market, right? Particularly accumulating those type of properties only to rent them out on Airbnb. And I think you can get in a little bit of hot water there, right? Because you really have to check the particular rules and regulations and ordinances in your specific municipality where you're purchasing the property, right? So for example, that chatter was just talking about Cancun is putting major restrictions on Airbnb. But you know where else is putting really big restrictions on Airbnb? South Beach in Miami, Florida, right? I think in South Beach, you're not even allowed to do Airbnb in some cases. And if you are allowed to do Airbnb, it has to be for a specific amount of time. You're not allowed to rent it out for more, 30 days or something. The truck's trying to get through, this guy won't move. All he has to do is move up. Now here's the thing. I'm not sure if that sounded loud on the live stream, but that truck's horn was so loud I could feel it in my soul. Seriously, it was like earth-shattering. Beto's like Optimus Prime, yeah, maybe. That's hilarious. I don't know, we'll see. I think with artificially suppressed interest rates all throughout 2021, I do think, and I agree, that there's some subsectors of the market, particularly the housing market, near a lot of tourist attractions, where you're going to have a lot of, I would say, negative cash flowing Airbnb properties. Because anytime you have an environment of artificially suppressed rates, you have people that get a little bit ahead of themselves and a little bit over their skis, as I like to say. But look, I think, for young people out there, it has become so difficult for young millennials and Gen Z to actually own a piece of property in America. So an easy way to do that, if you can, delay instant gratification, is to save up money for a down payment on a house. And hold on one second. Is to save up money for a down payment and be comfortable with renting out the individual rooms in your house, right? Let's say if you do that at 21 years old, by the time you're 27, you're going to be built up some significant equity in the home, and then maybe you rent out all 4 rooms, and then you go buy yourself a place once you have about 70 or 80% equity built in the property. So, over the last 14 years, with ZIRP artificially suppressed rates, the only people who were able to accumulate assets were very wealthy people who had access to very, very cheap money, so to speak. So now that rates are going up, hopefully, the market will come down a little bit, valuations will come down, and regular people will be able to afford housing. Fingers crossed, right? Now look at this sanitation vehicle. That's so cool. Has the New York Yankees there. The official solid waste and recycling provider of the New York Yankees. Very cool. Love that. 2 thumbs up. I don't know, we'll see. Mike says anybody can own land if you play the cards right. All right, we'll stop here. I'll just give you guys a quick view of the street here as we approach Hell's Kitchen. Hey, Hawaii, what's up? This is Yankees. Love the Yankees. Pearl Heart Disciple is here. Happy Monday. Hopefully you guys are having a good start to the week. Felipe says, leave America then. Why would I leave America? This is the greatest country on earth. Richard Vogel says, I thought Tom was stuck on the tracks. Yeah, that was probably the loudest truck horn I've ever heard in my entire life. Anyway, hey, Ryan Beck is here. Good to see you, Ryan. Thanks for joining us. Now, I got a question for the chat. I would say the most notable earnings report today on Wall Street was Tyson Foods. Did anybody have a chance to check out the earnings report from Tyson? Now, it was very discouraging for a couple reasons, and I want your take on this, because chances are everybody here in the chat purchases beef, purchases pork, purchases chicken, right? They go to the grocery store, they shop, they do things. So Tyson Foods absolutely bombed earnings. I mean, horrible, egregious. Okay, the vast majority of analysts on the street were projecting about 79 cents of earnings, positive EPS. They came in at negative 4 cents on the bottom line. Now, they also missed on the top line. They also missed on revenue. Revenue came in at $13.13 billion. And to top it off, the company actually revised down their forward guidance. So the full forward guidance for next fiscal year in terms of revenue was about $57 billion. CEO came on the conference call saying that we are going to revise down to $54 billion. Stock was down about 17% on that news. Now, here's the most notable quote from the entire earnings report. CEO comes on the call and says that we're starting to see consumers trading down, right? Looking for deals and trading down. Now, I understand Tyson produces beef. I understand that Tyson produces pork, but their number one seller is chicken. And usually when consumers trade down, don't consumers trade down to purchasing chicken? So I'm going to throw it back to the audience. I'm going to throw it back to the chat as we're walking now in the heart of Hell's Kitchen. Are you guys starting to see prices at the grocery store become so high for red meat, become so high for pork, that you're deciding to trade down to chicken? And now that chicken is even more expensive, you're deciding to opt for other alternatives. And if so, what are those alternatives that you're opting to trade down from, or to trade down to, if you will? Hey, Mighty Mole says, if you remember, Vice President said we are going to do away with meat. Oh my God. Yeah, yeah. Everybody wants us to, consume that fake meat. What is the company called? Beyond Meat. I think it's actually publicly traded under the ticker symbol BYND, the Beyond Meat. Funny. Hey, Dallas says, I think one day chicken will become gold. Hilarious. John says, I'm going to invest in that freaking horn for an alarm clock. I probably should too, to be honest. JM says, I've been going vegetarian. Ken Glass says, no hot dogs. Photos from around New York says, beans are also a good source of protein. Queen of Swords says, just go to Costco, better prices. Marcus says, they used to eat. All right, Marcus, we are gonna just cool you down a little bit. Ryan Beck says, if the sodium wasn't so high, I could handle Spam. Ooh, I'm not a big fan of Spam. Now, is it true that in Hawaii, I think we do have some viewers from Hawaii here, right? Isn't there like a very famous Hawaiian dish that's made with Spam? Does anybody know what that's called? For some reason, I feel like there's a very famous Hawaiian dish that's made with Spam. Chu Chan says, Tom, Costco rotisserie chickens are $5. Not bad. Steve says, I tried to go vegan, but I couldn't do it. Did cut out red meat, though. You know, it's interesting. I've actually been eating more red meat this year, and I feel stronger than ever. I think it's the iron in the red meat that gives me more energy. I don't know. I feel great, and I've actually been eating a little bit more red meat. Now, real quick, a little bit of a sidetrack for the team here. So this is exactly what I was talking about at the beginning of the stream. Notice all of the nice original buildings here in Hell's Kitchen. It's almost like a very, community-oriented neighborhood. Now, back in the day, when my parents were growing up, Hell's Kitchen was not a fun place to be. Okay, let's just say that. But look at the contrast. It's almost like you're living in a different world, and you could see all of the massive, super tall buildings in Midtown Manhattan. Now, the H&M building is actually right in Times Square, and it's just literally a tale of two cities almost. You have the classic New York with the beautiful, extremely bright and rich brown/red brick. And then, if you look to Midtown Manhattan, you have all the super talls with the big glass, sort of very gaudy looking buildings. Kind of interesting. More of a family community fun vibe here. A lot of different restaurants. I think there's like a little crepe store here. So really cool. I mean, never get a chance to really, come down here to Hell's Kitchen. So maybe we'll cross here and explore this part of the neighborhood a little bit for you guys. Dallas, speaking of meat, Tom, did you have a meat you prefer more than others? I'm a big New York strip steak kind of guy. Love New York strip steaks. I usually tend to buy them, especially when I'm down in Miami, I tend to buy them in bulk, freeze them, and then grill one usually every night. I don't know. That's a good question. Anybody in the chat, what's your favorite cut of steak? If you could choose any cut of steak, maybe like the A5 Wagyu. I've actually never had it, but I always hear about how the A5 Wagyu is the most pristine and most expensive type of meat. Has anybody had Wagyu before? Hopefully I'm pronouncing it right too. My God. Wow, a lot of using people, filet mignon, a lot of ribeyes. Austin City Limits. This is ribeyes. RJ's is filet mignon. Michelle Henry with the sirloin. I like a sirloin steak. Dallas's filet. Eric's is bone-in filet. Okay. Yeah, I'm a big New York strip steak kind of guy though. RJ's is a nice skirt steak. Hey, Mike C's joining us. Good to see you. Sunshine After Rain is a sirloin steak or a ribeye. The one and only Mighty Bull is entering the chat. What's up, Mighty Bull? Hopefully your week is off to a good start. Tom C is here, big fan of New York strip steaks too. Yeah, now I'll tell you, we're going a little bit off. I guess this is on subject. I love steaks, man. Love steaks, big fan. So here's what I do. For some reason, and let me know if you guys agree or disagree with this. For whatever reason it is, it seems as if steaks taste way better when they're grilled on those little $10 Walmart barbecue grills. I mean, everybody, remember back to when you were a kid, you used to go to the park and grill on the 4th of July, maybe you went to Jones's Beach or something like that, and you always brought those really just junky $10 Walmart charcoal grills. For whatever reason, I don't know what it is, food tastes better on those things. I have one at my house. I was gonna buy a really nice grill for my house, but I'm like, you know what? The food tastes better on like a $10 Walmart grill. Anyway. Yeah, Revis says anything grilled is good. Maybe it's just, I took a psychology class in college, and it's true. If you have a very positive association with something like a smell or a food, it can taste better or bring out, it releases dopamine. So maybe the Jones Beach 4th of Julys are giving me a little bit of a dopamine blast. Now, I wanted to come down here really quick. We'll do a quick tour of all of the original buildings with the fire escapes here. Awesome. RJ says Weber charcoal grills are the best. Pearl Heart Disciples says, yes, I don't know the name. Okay, you're talking about the Spam dish. Interesting. Chad says pork chops on the bone. Uh, 304 says use applewood on those grills. It gives the steak a lot of flavor. I'm gonna have to try that. Let me take a screenshot of that. I will, I promise I will. I'm gonna be back in Miami tomorrow, so that means the grilling is going to commence again. I'll send you guys some pictures. Yeah, Joe's like looks like a Led Zeppelin album. Yeah, anyway, I mean, but we'll see. But has anybody in the chat been cutting back or trading down? Because that's what the CEO of Tyson Foods said today, right? They had to guide lower. They revised their revenue estimates down because they said consumers are starting to trade down. My first thought when she said that is, isn't that the first thing consumers trade down to? Is chicken? I mean, this only increases my feelings or my bet that the Federal Reserve over the last 14 years has really created this two-tier society, right, of haves and have-nots. I think the middle class is really being cored out here. The upper 10% of the United States is doing better than they've ever done. And this is an opinion. This is actually showing up in the data. We review this data almost every night. Look at the earnings from LVMH, Moet Hennessy, right? Look at the earnings from Hyatt. These are luxury brands, guys. Not only in the jewelry space, not only in the luxury physical goods, but also in luxury travel. These companies are raking in record profits, record profitability, record net incomes, and the rest of the country doesn't seem to be participating in this economic recovery, at least not as much as I would like them to. All right, we will, I really want to continue walking up 9th Avenue, but let's go to the corner at 8th. We'll check it out. If it looks all right, we'll bang a left. If it doesn't look all right, we'll go back to 9th. Hey, Steve Gonzalez says good night and be safe. Until next time. Thank you, Steve. You too, my friend. Thank you for joining, and have a great rest of your week. Anthony J. This says there's no economic recovery. Diane's is still buying chicken, but stretching it to smaller portion sizes by adding beans and legumes. Real Love says I've lived in Southern California since 1981. Have been cutting down/back. Well, Southern California, I mean, depending on where you live, I have friends who live there, and we have a lot of viewers who live in California. It could be just as expensive as a city like New York, right? I mean, if you think about, major cities in California like San Francisco and LA, those are expensive places. I mean, those are just as expensive as New York City. Now, here's the funny thing. I just mentioned that I'm going back, flying back to Miami, Florida tomorrow. Miami, Florida is getting just as expensive, if not more expensive, as New York. And it didn't used to be like that, guys. It didn't used to be like that at all. When I go shopping, and I try to avoid the Whole Foods in downtown Miami, but sometimes it's my only option, especially if I'm at the office really late. I pop into the Whole Foods real quick in downtown Miami. And I could say this conclusively, okay, without a bias, shooting it to you guys straight. That is the most expensive Whole Foods I have ever been to in my entire life. For whatever reason, the Whole Foods in downtown Miami is more expensive than the Whole Foods in Manhattan, is more expensive than the Whole Foods in this building, by the way. If you look at these two towers, this is the Deutsche Bank Towers, formerly known as the Time Warner Center. It's almost as if all of the prices at Whole Foods in downtown Miami are at least 10% to 15% higher nationally. I don't know what it is. It's probably because of all the population growth and the migration to Southern Florida. It's getting expensive down there. Southern Florida is also turning into a place where, if I had to make a bet, it's probably going to be like New York City, where, if you want to own something down there, you need to be, one of these super wealthy or really, really well-to-do. Because property valuations are getting bid up to the sky, which is just totally crazy. And the cost of food, cost of living, cost of insurance. I could go on. I don't have all day, but I could go on complaining about the prices. All right, enough complaining about the prices. More showing you guys the neighborhood. So I'm going to pull off to the side, and we're going to check out some of these original buildings with the fire escapes. And again, look at the contrast. Now, before I even mention it, check this out. You guys already know what this building is. You see the massive building right behind these beautiful original railroad style buildings? That's Central Park Tower, you're correct. Now, the top 3 floors, the top triplex of Central Park Tower is on the market for $250 million, $250 million. And I gotta give you guys a recommendation. I forget the name of the YouTube channel, but it's a very well-known, very famous YouTube channel. The gentleman does these luxury property tours all over the world. It's one of my favorite channels on YouTube. I think the guy is such a good interlocutor. He is so crisp and so poised in the way that he explains the properties. It's really a work of art just watching him do it. He just released a video today, my friend sent it to me, of a complete property tour of the triplex atop of Central Park Tower. And you know what hit me the most? I'll tell you guys what really stood out to me the most. The terrace, okay? The outdoor sky deck terrace at the top floor, 123rd floor of Central Park Tower, is over 1,300 square feet. Now, to put that in perspective, my entire house is about 1,400 square feet. So I'm thinking, I'm like, when I'm in my house down in Miami, I don't even know what to do with all the space. Now, I know what the majority of you guys are thinking. Tom, 1,400 square feet isn't that big. Well, for a New Yorker, it is. I'm used to living in like a little shoebox, okay? But could you imagine your house in New York City, atop of Central Park Tower, is bigger than my entire house down in Southern Florida? That's just incredible to me to think about. It's just unbelievable. So if you want to watch that video, which I would really suggest you guys do, you're gonna love the tour, just type in Central Park Tower, 123rd floor penthouse, $250 million. It should be the first video that pops up. Tony Shepard said you just found it. Love that. Let me know what you think of it. I think you're gonna love it. It's a really, really well done video too. I love watching his videos. I just forget the name of the channel. I just forget the name of it. Feel free, anybody, if you want to drop the link so everybody else who's viewing this could see it, please feel free to drop the link. I think you guys are going to really love that. Ryan Beck says, how much do you think it will cost to furnish, keeping in mind the level of furniture, etc.? That's a really good point. Oh man. Ryan Beck, that's an interesting comment. Now, for those of you in the real estate business, one of the most, well, I'm going to say one of, right? Not the most, I shouldn't say the biggest expense, I'll say one of the biggest expenses for a broker if you get a new listing, especially in New York City, especially if it's vacant, is the staging costs, right? I wouldn't be surprised if it could be, you know, $1 million plus staging bill for the top of Central Park Tower. Actually, probably, maybe even more. Because if you think about it, these properties are so unique. They're a one of one. It's like owning a Mona Lisa in the sky. It's like owning a Picasso, right? They are so unique where the furniture in those buildings or in those units are probably going to be so exclusive in and of themselves that they could be, you know, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? So I don't know. It's an interesting question. That's a good question. If you guys had to guess, and if I remember correctly from the video, the triplex atop of Central Park Tower is just under 18,000 square feet, the whole entire apartment. To fully furnish 18,000 square feet, I mean, that is, I mean, if you had to take a guess, what would you guess in the chat? You know, speaking of that, we have a full blast view of the triplex. It actually looks like there may be a showing or an event or a dinner going on there tonight. Ryan Beck says, Tom, I'm furnishing mine and it feels like I'm an ATM. Oh, it's not even 2,000 square feet. Dude, the same thing. You know what? I'll give you a recommendation, but you probably want nice furniture. I furnished my property with furniture on Wayfair. Okay, now there's a reason why I did that. Wayfair is not, okay, Wayfair in most cases is not really top quality furniture. It's very, very cheap, low end. But if you're going to be renting out your property, you don't need to be spending $5,000, $6,000 on a couch. Okay, you could spend, you know, maybe $500 from Wayfair. They'll deliver it to you. It'll look nice, but you're gonna probably have to replace it every 6 years. But if you're looking for a cheap alternative, try Wayfair. I don't know. Dan Zhang, I think you're correct. Dan, if you have the URL link to that particular apartment tour, feel free to throw it in the chat. But if you guys are enjoying tonight's live stream, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We do these live streams about every single day, starting at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, talking about the financial markets as well as the real estate market, not only in New York City, but Miami and across the United States. We'd love for you guys to join us. Tony Shepard says you would be limited on what you could have by if you could get it up there. I don't know. Well, there's probably, well, I'll tell you a crazy story and then we'll move on. So one of my, I should say acquaintances, he's not really my friend. He's an acquaintance of mine. He's one of the top plastic surgeons in New York. I won't mention his name, but many of you maybe know his name. He has a really nice space on Central Park South in an older building. Now, he wanted to bring a grand piano into his apartment, and it wouldn't fit. And it was a special piano. It was made that you couldn't take it apart in fear of damaging it. It was like one of these one-of-one expensive pianos that they shut down the street temporarily and used a crane to bring it into the apartment. Now that's actually common. That actually happens more than you think in New York, especially if it's an older building, where some of these older buildings don't have these massive freight elevators. Sometimes you could just use a crane, plop it right in the apartment. Hey, Carl says that crane was most likely at least $400 an hour, probably, maybe even more. Eric says we have been buying furniture from Stickley, really well made. You know, Eric, let me take a screenshot of that. Marcia says, Tom, Wayfair is not cheap furniture. Well, it's cheap. For me, it's cheap. My furniture doesn't seem well made. It seems very light. Like my kitchen table, the couch, the coffee table. It doesn't, like when you feel it, when you pick it up, it's not really well made. But maybe that's just maybe of what I bought. But we'll see. Okay, we have made it to 57th Street. Now, here's something unique about the intersection we're about to be on right now. It's 57th Street and 9th Avenue. Now, when we get to the corner, and I turn the camera to the right, you are going to have a very unique view directly down the core of New York City's Billionaires Row. So let me cross the street. I'll try to give you guys a good view. And you're looking directly down Billionaires Row. We'll cross since we have the light. So check it out. All the old buildings still has the graffiti. And then just a few blocks over, you have $250 million apartments. That's the diversity in New York City real estate, my friends. Hey, Abby says, have you ever seen movie shoots in your time living in New York? I have. I think one of the most notable ones when I worked down on Wall Street, this was way back in the day. Now, does anybody know where the Federal Reserve Building is? And this is actually a pretty good segue because we do have to talk about monetary policy today, because on Wednesday we are going to hear from our friends, the Bank of England, and consensus is that they're probably going to raise about 25 basis points. But anyway, I'll stop rambling. For those non-New Yorkers out there, if you want to pull up Google Maps, just type in the Federal Reserve. It's in Lower Manhattan. It's actually right next to JP Morgan Chase. And I think this may have been in 2013, something like that. I forget. But there was a big movie shoot. The movie was called Money Monster. And I was actually watching live George Clooney shoot that famous scene where he had that sort of like that suicide vest on. It was shot right on the intersection by the Federal Reserve. So what year did Money Monster come out? Because this may have been 2013 I was down there, I forget. Maybe 2014. But anyway, that's really the only one that I actually saw live. Yeah, that's really the only one. I've seen a bunch of Law and Order, like television shows being filmed, because they always film in my old college. So where I went to college, that's where they film all the Law and Order scenes. Well, a lot of them. The John Jay College of Criminal Justice, which is actually back this way. If you walk directly down here to 10th Avenue and you bang a right, you go up to 58th, 59th Street. That's CUNY John Jay. So it's a criminal justice school. It's exclusively, well, back in the day, it used to be the NYPD Police Academy. It used to be an all-men, all-boys school for criminal justice, policing, and criminology. They have since opened it up. It is a co-ed institution now, and there's a lot more majors than just, criminal justice, law, things like that. Now, fun fact about John Jay College, not to get too off the rails, but it's we're having a good Monday night. Might as well. I'm assuming all of you have watched Judge Judy at one point in your life, right? Is that a okay assumption that everybody has probably watched Judge Judy at some point? Now, the bailiff on the television show Judge Judy is an alumni of John Jay. Yeah, he went to John Jay College of Criminal Justice and landed a sweet job as the, is that what they call him, the bailiff, something like that? Well, he's the guy, the court officer that hands all the documents to Judge Judy. He went to my college. Anyway. All right, guys, 8th Avenue now, 57th Street. What you're looking at right now is Columbus Circle, 59th Street. And this building is very famous right here. It is a 5-star hotel. It is called the Trump International Hotel and Tower, but I'm actually gonna walk up a little bit more because I gotta tell you guys something. So, anybody familiar with John Najarian? Very famous options trader, really good guy. Now, John is gonna be hosting a big event, a hedge fund dinner in this hotel right to the left of us, the Mandarin Oriental Hotel. So on May 11th, I believe it is. If you look at my Twitter profile, you could see it. I retweeted it for anybody who wants to go. It's being sponsored by D.E. Shaw, which is David Shaw's hedge fund, which is actually where Jeff Bezos worked, by the way. Not a lot of people know that, but the founder of Amazon, before he went on his business venture to found Amazon, he was actually a quantitative on Wall Street. That was his first job out of college. He worked for David E. Shaw. It's a quantitative hedge fund on Wall Street. They're located at 1166 Avenue of the Americas. So D.E. Shaw and Citadel Securities will be sponsoring the hedge fund dinner, hedge fund awards in this building on May 11th, the Mandarin Oriental Hotel, and John Najarian will be the host of that event. So if anybody is in the finance community, you want to attend, the link is on my Twitter profile. So if you go to my Twitter and you type in Walks Wall Street on Twitter, the links are right there. I think that should be a pretty interesting dinner. I would want to go to the event, but I will be in Miami. I think that'd be a good event to cover. Now, I may be down in Miami to cover the Bitcoin conference. I have a press pass, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be in Miami then. I may have to get back to New York. So stay tuned for that. I did get a press pass last year, but I was unfortunate to get really sick during the event, so I really couldn't go. Anyway, so this is the roundabout. You'll notice a lot of the yellow taxi cabs are all lined up, and that is because there's a lot of jazz that goes on right here. There's a really nice jazz bar. It's called Jazz at Lincoln Center, and they play right up here. Really nice. Hey, J49, good to see you. It says I seeded my lawn today with fertilizer. In 2 to 3 weeks, it'll get a bit warmer. Well, Scott's Miracle-Gro, I think, reported a record quarter today. I think the stock was up like 5%. Scott's Miracle-Gro reported, I think. Custom-built fire trucks. This is Hey Tom from Indianapolis. Good to see you. NBA Elias says, Tom, do you ever fly to Miami from Islip Airport? So for those of you who don't know, Islip is out on Long Island. I don't personally. I don't. And I'll tell you the reason why. I believe the only airline that flies out of Islip is if you have a PJ or if you're flying Spirit. And I'm not rich enough to fly a PJ, and I just can't do Spirit Airlines. And I'm not saying that because I'm materialistic, and that is my one rule. I don't spend a lot of money. I'm not a big materialistic guy, but I do have one rule, and that's when I travel, I will only fly Delta or American Airlines now. With everything going on, there's just been too many crazies on these airlines, and it's always the same culprits. It's always Frontier, it's always Spirit Airlines, because they have these $25 tickets, $50 tickets, and a lot of like crazy people have been getting these tickets and threatening the poor flight attendants, and they shouldn't be subject to that. If you're a flight attendant, you shouldn't be subject to abuse by passengers. I think that is so horrible. So I can't do it. Look, I'll spend the $250. I'll fly Delta. I'll fly American. I just can't do it. I think it's like a Greyhound bus in the sky. So, I don't know. Any thoughts there? Anybody? What is your airline of choice if you guys had to fly? Jimenez, good to see you. Brick Stonewall, Spirit Airlines is bare bones. And here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. If you fly Spirit, it's actually just as expensive, maybe a little bit cheaper than everything else, because they make you pay for a carry-on bag. So you have to pay to bring a regular bag on the plane. So a lot of people, they fly with nothing, they spend the $30, and there's been so many incidents. So I don't know, I'd rather just fly business and stay away from all the nonsense, if you will. Oscar Diaz says, what about JetBlue? I fly JetBlue sometimes. JetBlue's nice. So I should say Delta, American, and JetBlue I fly. I actually flew JetBlue when I went to Boston. About 3 weeks ago now, I flew into Boston, really nice airport. B. Kim says, I've been using JetBlue from JFK to Palm Beach. Not terrible. Yeah, if I take JetBlue, there's usually more JetBlue flights, or I should say more cheaper JetBlue flights to Fort Lauderdale. Solon says, what do you think about Coconut Grove or Coral Gables? Beautiful places, Coconut Grove and Coral Gables. I'm actually going to be there on Wednesday, have a meeting. But Coral Gables is a really cool town. That is where the University of Miami is, I believe, Coral Gables. Coconut Grove is really beautiful as well. But I love it down there. I love it. So it's going to be nice. It's going to be nice to get a break. Hopefully I'll have like a day off. I can go to the beach, something like that. It should be pretty hot too. It should be like, 80, 90 degrees maybe. All right, real quick. We saw this last night, everybody. This is 15 Central Park West. This is one of the most exclusive buildings in all of New York City. It is home to many famous hedge fund managers and also some CEOs, or former CEOs, I should say, of some Wall Street mega banks, such as Goldman Sachs. The former CEO, Lloyd Blankfein, I believe, has a unit in this building. Really, really beautiful. You can sort of see the courtyard, the roundabout here. Very nice. It almost has the same look and feel of living at 220 Central Park South. You can see the walkway here, very beautifully lit. It's almost like you're taking a trip back in time. and obviously your neighbors with the Trump International Hotel and Tower. You have gorgeous sweeping views of Central Park, as well as all of your neighbors on Billionaires Row. You could see Central Park Tower, 220 Central Park South, 157, and the Steinway building. I was just about to ask you guys what time it was, but it is 9:47. That's good. We still have some time. So now this is Central Park West. Very seldom do we walk up Central Park West at night because it's a little bit of a dimly lit street. But since it's our last night, I think I'll show you guys. This is the main entrance to 15 Central Park West. We'll go up 2 more blocks, then we'll make maybe a left on 67th, potentially. We'll see. But I'm going to stop talking for a moment. I want you guys to notice how quiet it is up here. Okay, we started the live stream off on 34th Street, Penn Station. We were walking up through Hell's Kitchen, and it was a total freaking thunderstorm, pretty much, right? Everybody banging on the horn, trucks whizzing in and out. I want you guys to notice the difference of living on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, right near Central Park. Isn't it like a night and day difference? It's a lot more peaceful up here. So I always recommend this because I get a lot of emails. And a lot of people email me, say, hey, Tom, I'm thinking about moving to New York. You know, would you recommend, which neighborhood would you recommend? And I think that's a loaded question, and I'll tell you why. It's all about what you're looking for. New York is so diverse. And what I believe is that if you're young, you're looking to have a good time, if you're looking to go out a lot, then maybe Hell's Kitchen is for you. Did you notice on our walk, almost every single corner there was a bar, and every single bar has its own theme? Now maybe if you have kids, it would be right, maybe in one of these buildings right here. I actually want to cross the street for you guys, so you can see what it's like to walk directly on Central Park. You know, every neighborhood in Manhattan serves its purpose, right? Every borough serves its purpose. So I think if you're a young family with kids, well, maybe you want to live, on 76th Street in Central Park West, right? Where it's, you have very quaint and very beautiful coffee shops. You have some upscale restaurants, but you also have Central Park at your fingertips, so you can make sure the kids can run around, blow off some steam. And here's another selling point of the Upper West Side if you have small kids. Not only do you have Central Park as your backyard, you also have Bonus Park. Right now, I'm going to tell you guys about Riverside Park, because back during my college days, they would practice on 103rd Street and Riverside Drive, Riverside Park. And nobody really knows about that park. I'm talking about the tourists, right? If you're not from New York City, chances are, if you think about a park, you think of Central Park, which is right here. So if you want some peace, you want some privacy, especially on a really nice weekend in the summer, all you have to do is walk about 5 blocks this way, and you're at beautiful Riverside Park, right on the Hudson River, right on the water, so you could take your pick. Do you want to take the kids and the dog to Central Park, or do you want to go to Riverside? That's your choice, right? So everything in New York, every neighborhood is so unique, so specific to what you need. So just keep that in the back of your mind. You know, if you're visiting New York and you want to try something a little bit different, maybe you're a tourist, remember that Walks on Wall Street guy? You know, that annoying guy that walks around and talks about stocks? Hey, he told me to go to Riverside Park. Maybe I'll check that out. I'll grab a cup of coffee. I'll head over to Riverside. Now, this will actually take you all the way to the east side of Manhattan. You know, if I had enough time tonight, I actually might walk across the entire Central Park to get you guys to the Upper East Side. I think that would be cool for a live stream. Maybe we'll have to do that another day, because I have to cut it short a little bit tonight. Here's another nice church on Central Park West. Marketing videography, just don't let the tourists know our secret. I was buffering a little bit. Sloan says, I really like Tribeca. It is quiet and peaceful compared with Midtown, which was nice when younger. That's true. Hey, Sparks Carnival says, happy early Mother's Day. Appreciate that, Sparks Carnival. Happy early Mother's Day to all of our good moms out there. Love that. Now we're coming up. I'm not sure how much of that you guys could hear. Unfortunately, it was buffering, so I apologize. Sparks Carnival says, are you a mom, Tom? Why would you appreciate that? No, I just appreciate all moms everywhere. I think moms are not as appreciated, or not as they should, I think. You know, oftentimes a mother is the bedrock to a family unit. I think that guy almost got hit by a car. Anyway, check this out, everybody. This is very famous here on Central Park. This restaurant is called Tavern on the Green. And unfortunately, this place actually closed down. I think it was going to go out of business for good. But I think that there may have been somebody who bought it out, and I think it is open again. So Tavern on the Green right here in Central Park. What do you guys think? Should we check it out since we're here? We'll check out Tavern on the Green. Wow, there actually looks like there's a big event going on tonight here at Tavern on the Green. Look at all these. Look, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 black cars in a row and a big bus. Maybe there's a wedding going on. Yeah, photos from around New York says Tavern on the Green is usually lively at night. It looks like there's some big event. You got this big bus, everybody's dressed up really nice. Very cool. Look at that. So you have Tavern on the Green right here. And then in the background, everybody, you have all of New York City's Billionaires Row. Isn't that amazing? Hey, George Mendez, this Walks on Wall Street. I've got a question. Go for it, pal. Shoot. I'll take you guys a little bit further into Central Park. I want to show you guys something. Now, during the day, especially during the summer, and even more especially, I should say, during a summer weekend, okay? Right across the street from Tavern on the Green is a very special place. It's called Sheep Meadow, okay? S-H-E-E-P Meadow. And you can't see it because it's too dark, but it's this gorgeous wide open space in Central Park where people come to have picnics. They bring their friends, they bring their dogs, they bring the kids, and it's almost a surreal sight. It's so gorgeous, it's so beautiful. I took a video of it this weekend. If you go to my Twitter profile or if you go to my IG or my Instagram, Walks Wall Street, I took a video so you guys could see just how beautiful Sheep Meadow is during the spring and in the summer. There's really nothing like it in the entire world. And I'm not saying that to be because I'm biased, because I love New York. When you see the video, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, the city really comes alive in the summer, right here at Sheep Meadow in Central Park. I think if you're a tourist, or maybe you're just visiting New York, or maybe you're number one or number two thing you do on the to-do list, then right here, Sheep Meadow, amazing. And you have a beautiful view of 432 Park Avenue. This is another Billionaires Row building. And you're adjacent to Tavern on the Green. Yeah, Michael Joseph says it used to be open till 10 p.m. And they close it down during the winter and the fall, I believe, so the grass could grow back. They're playing the Beatles, I think. Now, I don't think we're gonna have enough time tonight. You know what, should we do it, guys? Let me know in the chat. Should we go to 72nd Street and should we see the Dakota, or should we head back? And also, if I may ask, could we get a quick time check in the chat? I gotta get my train and I gotta get up early. I just wanna make sure we're on the appropriate time. But another fun fact here, this is where the New York City Marathon ends. This is the finish line, established in 1970. This is the New York City Marathon finish line right here. All right, let's cross and let's get out of here. Yeah, we'll head back. We'll head back. We'll do the Dakota another night. It's getting a little bit too late. I think you guys are right. I'm so intrigued as to what's going on here. Tons of people. You know, maybe it's a dinner for this big hedge fund event that's going to be going on at the Mandarin Oriental Hotel. Mark, that's his favorite building. 5, we got to do it. We'll head up there. It's only going to take a couple minutes. Michael Joseph's just like go around the back. You could see inside. Yeah, I think it'd be a little bit intrusive. I think they'd probably say, what is this guy doing with the camera all up in our space? All right, so we're crossing back over Central Park West. Very quiet, beautiful neighborhood. Now, I do want to mention one other thing about the market that I think is pretty important. I actually wrote this down. Very critical here. So even though technically, right, the NASDAQ has rallied about 20% from the lows, which in technical terms means a new bull market, I think it's important to look at the breadth of the market. So if you look at the percentage of stocks in the S&P 500 that are trading above its 200-day moving average, if you had to guess, right? If you had to guess the percentage of stocks in the market trading above its 200-day moving average, what would you say? What would you give a guess? Mark Davis says, Tom, if it's not out of your way. No, I could probably jump on the train right at 72nd. There's actually a train station right at 72nd Street. I can get back to Columbus Circle in no time. Elizabeth Gill, it's Walks Wall Street. Hey, Dan Sillard, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Joel PM says it's a banker's dinner with Powell. Hilarious. It may be, who knows. Well, let me cross. All right, 3 more blocks. ATC says 30%. You're actually pretty close. That was actually almost spot on. That was a really good guess, actually. 49%. Only 49% of stocks in the S&P 500 are above their 200-day moving average. That means the vast majority of stocks are not participating in this market rally, which is very, very concerning. And that is very reminiscent of a very thin market. All right, 2 more blocks and then we are here. You could actually get the B train that'll take you back to 59th Street, Columbus Circle. Or you could get the C. Perfect, and we got the light. All right, here we have it. There it is. This is the Dakota, one of the most famous buildings in New York. This is where John Lennon was murdered, unfortunately. And if you make a right into this entrance to Central Park, it's actually Strawberry Fields. So the Dakota is located 72nd Street in Central Park West, right here. There we have it. Now take a look at this. We'll go over here in a minute. But if you look across the street, that's the main entrance to the Dakota. And it still has all of the original oil lamps up, which is really nice. And this is one of the most famous entrances, one of the biggest entrances to Central Park. Strawberry Fields is right here. So here's the Dakota from a further away view. Really remarkable building. I could say with certainty the camera does not do it justice. You have to come here for yourself and see it. Now, I'm working on something pretty cool for the channel, for the chat, for the team. You see all these benches here? You see how they have individual plaques? Well, you could actually sponsor a bench in Central Park. And there is one open spot right here. It's this one. We won't go over there because there's a guy there. But this bench actually has an open slot. And I am in talks to sponsoring a bench right next to the Dakota. I'm not sure how much it's going to be. It's probably going to be pretty expensive, but it'll be the official Walks in Wall Street Central Park bench. And the idea is that anybody who views the stream from all over the world could come to the bench. And the only thing that I want done on this bench is to think positively about your future, strategize on whatever business venture or goals that you want, sit here and read and enjoy the park, and it will be the official Walks on Wall Street bench. So hopefully I can get this one. I'll show it to you. There's an opening here. I emailed the parks department, but it is this one that has an opening. Nobody has sponsored this yet, so maybe pretty soon that'll be the Walks on Wall Street bench. We'll see. Keep you guys posted. All right, now it's time to cross over Central Park West. So you can see the gas/oil lamps over there. We'll just wait for the light. Oh, look at that. Guys, look at how cool that is. Looks like a bird made this made this traffic light its home. There's actually a bird's nest there. I'm not sure that's the smartest part. Maybe it's not the smartest place to build your nest. I mean, you have a whole Central Park in there. You're gonna build it right on the street light. That's hilarious, but again, this is the 72nd Street subway station. You get the B and C trains up or downtown. You could also get the bus. Those folks are waiting for the bus right there. But this is the main entrance to the Dakota.
Oh, he's trying to plan his 30th birthday.
Check that out. Unbelievable architecture. Just a real staple of New York City right here. All right, I'll wait for this car to pass, and then I'll walk across the street just so you guys can see a little bit further up close. All right, we'll go after this guy. All right, check this out. They still have the original gas lamps, or oil lamps, whatever you want to call them. Liz has just checked. It costs $10,000 to sponsor a bench in Central Park. I think the ones in the more prime locations are a little bit more, but yeah, it's right around there. Isn't that just amazing looking at this? Unbelievable. Just absolutely gorgeous architecture. Hey, Melissa 2087, what's up? This is Tom, where are we? We are actually near the Dakota. We are on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. We're checking out the Dakota apartments right here. Amazing. And we actually started off the stream 34th Street, Penn Station, and we walked all the way up through Hell's Kitchen. I haven't taken you guys through Hell's Kitchen in a while. And then right at the corner, I want to show you guys this. Right at the corner of the Dakota, you can see all the way down to New York City's Billionaires Row. Fantastic. And then all around the Dakota, you have more beautiful architecture here. And there's actually the subway station that's built right in here. Usually if it has you guys see how these sort of lights are lit up here? The green lights. That signals that it's a station where you could buy a ticket, buy your Metro card. Now here's one of my favorite things about the Dakota. Check out all of the original wood paneling on the windows. Just absolutely beautiful. And a lot of it is the original wood paneling too. Here you have some more. Look at that. I know, Ryan Beck, I was actually thinking the same thing. That guy that just walked past us, a really sharp suit. Now this unit actually has a mini balcony. So imagine waking up, having your morning coffee on your balcony at the Dakota, overlooking Central Park and Billionaires Row. It's unbelievable. I mean, these units in the Dakota are literally priceless. Absolutely priceless. Yeah, Sparks Carnival, I saw that. So Palantir reported earnings today, and you know what? Sparks Carnival, Zscaler also gave a little bit of an insight to their earnings. I think the stock was up about 20%, but still, you know, Zscaler, major cybersecurity company, we talked about that at the beginning of the stream. You know, these stocks are still bombed. I mean, they are well below their 50 and 200-day moving average. And today, Sparks Carnival, you probably already know, but this was the lowest volume day of the year. If you look at the SPY, right, the Spiders ETF for the S&P, this was the lowest volume day all year. So you're going to have a lot of these stocks gapping all over the place. And the percentage of stocks in the S&P 500 that are above the 200-day is less than 40%. So this is a very, very thin market. Very thin market. And not a lot of participation. Very few participating stocks. But tomorrow I am most interested in, and we had a really good conversation as we were walking through Hell's Kitchen about Airbnb. Airbnb is going to be reporting earnings tomorrow. I think it's actually going to be better than expected. Now, I'm using Hyatt's earnings report as a proxy. Now, Marriott also reports this week. Hospitality has been strong, right? Think about some of the leading economic indicators. We just got a record jobs number on Friday. And what were the two main categories in that jobs report that were the strongest? Anybody know? The strongest categories in the jobs report was healthcare and hospitality, right? So hospitality is going strong and healthcare is going strong. I always love looking at this building. Look at the amazing bay windows here. Hawaii is like I had to rewind to check out the guy's suit. Hey, Jenny Trickett is here. Good to see you. Sparks Carnival, that's right. Disney reports on Thursday. Now, not to get too political here, everybody, but we do have to sort of mention it because it's important and it does affect the price of the stock. And I think it will going forward. I think they're in litigation, or I should say, they're in litigation with the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis. There's lawsuits going back and forth. Now, I think Disney is suing because they say it's potentially retaliatory, right? They're saying that Ron DeSantis is using his political power to retaliate against Disney, and that's obviously illegal. You can't have a government entity out for a private company. So we'll see, right? I'm not going to make a comment on what I believe is right or wrong. I'm just saying that could definitely impact the movement of the stock. Yeah, Sparks Carnival says Disney's probably going to win that lawsuit. Disney lawyers are no joke. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. It's definitely something to note if you're a Disney shareholder. Let's just say that. Now, another proxy for hospitality is Disney because on the previous two earnings reports for Disney, the Disney Parks department has been churning out record revenues, and in addition to that, they're not even operating at 100% capacity. So the parks technically could be operating at more capacity, but then again, as somebody noted in the chat, Disney may do that for a reason, right? They may limit the amount of people that are coming into the parks, because if you let too many people flood into the Disney parks, it may take away from the experience of some of the guests, which I do understand, but you know, it's just a proxy to show that, hey, people are willing to go out with their families and spend, you know, $6,000 to $10,000 on a Disney trip. And I never knew before I never ever knew that a trip to Disney was that expensive. Anybody here in the chat recently went on a Disney vacation or took the kids to Disney? And how much did it cost, if you don't mind me asking? You know, I saw a video where a family of 5 spent just under $10,000 on a Disney trip. That includes all of the hotel stays, that includes the food, that includes the rides, the passes, everything. That's insane. Insane that it costs that much. Insane. Wow, Laura Amps has never been to Disney. Interesting. Melissa 2087 says never knew it either until I became a travel agent. Yeah, some people definitely go all out at Disney, let's just say that. All right, Alex, we do respect everybody's political opinions, but no like endorsing candidates in the chat. Just a little bit inappropriate. Democrat or Republican. Ryan Bex has never been to Disney, couldn't afford it growing up, and no desire as I got older myself. Same here, pretty much in the same boat as you. But some people love Disney, right? And when we talk about, you know, identifying stocks to buy, you know, Peter Lynch said this, and it always stuck with me. And I'm paraphrasing here. I'm going to put a little bit of a Walks in Wall Street spin on it. It's you want to look for companies with a cult following, right? Think about Tesla, right? Some people are obsessed with Tesla. They're obsessed with Elon Musk. They worship the guy, right? They're obsessed with Tesla products. Think about Apple. Some people are obsessed with Apple. They'll wait 5 hours in the line to get a new iPhone, right? To get a new Mac. They'll go to all of the events. Disney is the same. There are some people out there that are so fanatical over Disney, it's not even to be believed, right? They get the year-long pass. They go there all the time. It's like a cult fanatical following. Not in a bad way, but that is a sign of a very, very strong brand and a loyal customer base. And that's why the stock has been able to generate so much value for shareholders over the years. Yeah, Brody YYC is like a cult mentality for sure. Joel PM Costco is cultish a little bit. Yeah, that's true. Now, is it true or is this fake news that one of the executives at Costco recommended that to the CEO they raise the prices on the hot dog, and the executive apparently was fired just for recommending that, and the CEO is like, there's no way that we will. That guy had a nice suit on too, really nice suit, that guy. He's like, there's no way we will ever raise the price of the hot dog. Now, I don't know if that's fake news or hyperbole, but anyway. Yeah, Who Dat Dave says the Disney's Parks division is holding up over the other divisions. Now, streaming is horrible because it is such a crowded market, right? And also, you know what's another division of Disney that's actually faltering is the ESPN. ESPN has been faltering as well. Anytime you have a streaming service, I mean, talk about a crowded market. You know, you're competing with Netflix, you're competing with Peacock, you know, name your streaming service, you're competing with it. Yeah, Stephen Bate, that's true. Hey, Elizabeth Gill says, Tom, I took a 2012 trip to Universal Studios, family of 4, cost us $5,000. That's not bad. I mean, but although that was way back in the day, 2012, it's almost 10 years ago now. Yeah, NBA Elias says Disney got into streaming service too late. I think I agree with you, NBA Elias. Now this is where they do the local news. This is ABC 7. You can see the guy setting up the eyewitness news desk right here. Quinn's is likewise the Costco chickens. You know, Quinn, I forget who it was in the chat, but you know, Tyson Foods reported earnings today, and they bombed. Stock got clocked. It's got its head ripped off after hours, or I should say, before pre-market, down 17%. And the CEO came on the call and said, consumers are trading down, right? There's less of a demand for red meat. There's less of a demand for pork and poultry, right? Chicken. And somebody in the chat, because we were talking about prices. Oh, by the way, CPI numbers are going to come out on Wednesday. That's probably why volume was so timid today. I don't know. We'll talk about that in Miami. We're going to be in Miami, Florida. We'll do a in-depth stream on the CPI numbers, inflation data. But supposedly a whole rotisserie chicken at Costco is $5. Now, I can tell you right now, you go to the Whole Foods here at the Deutsche Bank Tower, you're looking at like $9.97 for rotisserie chicken. Yeah, Jonathan Earl's like eat bugs. BYND. Well, this is Lincoln Center right now. Can we just do one more quick time check in the chat? I just got to make sure I get back on time. I don't want to miss my train. Hey, B. Cruz, good to see you. YouTube experiments as Hormel didn't tank though, went down a teeny bit. All right, 10:20. All right. Yeah, we got to wrap it up, guys. So I'm gonna cut the stream off a little bit early. We did have a good conversation. If you guys are new here and you enjoyed the live stream, feel free to leave a like on the video. Click the subscribe button if you're new. Join us at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, okay? We start doing the live streams at 8:30. There will be no live stream tomorrow, unfortunately. I will be traveling. I will be flying to Miami. But we will be back live Wednesday, where we will be discussing the CPI numbers, the inflation report, okay, which is going to be very critical as the Federal Reserve takes into account whether or not to raise interest rates at the next FOMC meeting. If you want to connect with us offline, you could follow us on Twitter at Walks Wall Street. You can follow us on Instagram at Walks Wall Street. And I want to wish all of you a very pleasant, happy, healthy Monday night, and good luck on the rest of the week. So YouTube experiment, thank you so much. Hawaii, I appreciate it. Disney Hatch, Nina, Bedzita Lopez, Sunshine After Rain, Justin S., Jenny Trickett, Joan K., Ryan Royal, John Abraham, Richard Vogel, Brad's Brain, thank you so much for joining. Wendy England, Robin, Ryan Beck, Zozo Bob, NBA Elias, Mark Davis, and to the Mighty Bull, have a good night wherever you are, because there is always a bull market somewhere. You just need to know where to look. I'll see you all in Miami. Make sure you bring your shorts and t-shirt. We'll see you then. Take care.